Ladies and gentlemen, veterans and distinguished guests, it is my honor to welcome you to our celebration this day, to recognize and thank the men and women who have served and fought for the freedoms we all hold so dearly. 379 years ago, the first militia organized to defend what would become the United States of America, a free and independent nation. I thank the veterans here today for their sacrifice and the contribution they make every day to keep America the best place in the world. Thank you for your service. Our schedule today is a partnership between the Caldwell Elks, the City of Caldwell, and all the veterans organizations in our community. The Veterans of Foreign Wars, American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Coast Guard Auxiliary, the Marine Corps League, and our Idaho Veterans Garden. As a special recognition today, I would like to thank Casey Garcia of Troop 219 here in Caldwell for restoring our flagpole. That's a 102-year-old flagpole of solid wood. Thank you, Casey. The flag ceremony will now be performed by the Coast Guard Color Guard, immediately followed by Paige Hensel that will sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattled, bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you, Paige. That was amazing.
Good job, Paige. Fantastic.
I'd like to introduce the Caldwell Elks Lodge 1448 officers now. Tracy Roberts Marmon is the exalted ruler. Margie Tucker is the leading knight. Dallas Roberts is the loyal knight. Ben Snyder is the lecturing knight. Russ George is the organist. Don Bell, the inner guard, and Archie Stradley, the treasurer. We now ask Dallas Roberts to come forward and provide the opening prayer.
Let us pray. Lord, hold our troops in your loving hands. Protect them as they protect us. Bless them and their families for the selfless acts they perform for us in our time of need. Amen.
Elks members, ladies, friends, and veterans, our order has decreed the 11th November to be set apart as a day for Elks to gather and freshen with the dew of recollection the tender blossoms of hope and love entwined about the memory of the departed. Obedient to our laws and with hearts attuned to perfect sympathy, we meet on this Veterans Day to pledge anew fidelity to the memory of our veterans who have entered in the realm of eternity. I'd like to thank you all for being here, and I'm going to take just a quick moment to see if I can recognize some of our PERs and the rest of our trustees. I have Jackie Groom is here. Jackie, raise your hand real quick. I know Chuck Roberts is here. He is also one of our trustees. John Muirhead, who is a big part of this renovation, is also here, and we're very happy to have him on board at the Elks. We do have some PERs here. I noticed Jim McGarvin here, Tom Marmon, Jim Goodell, Paul Farwell, and boy, I don't know if I'm missing anybody else. Oh, Jim Kyle, sorry about that, Jim. Thank you all very much for your participation. The veterans are a big part of what we do at the Elks, and we're very proud to be a part of this ceremony.
My next introduction is for Lyle Gesford, the Elks District Deputy Grand Exalted Ruler, Idaho South. It's a great honor to introduce Lyle today. He is a retired U.S. Army Major with 22 years of military service, which includes 2 combat tours in Vietnam. He was awarded the Purple Heart, Bronze Star with V Device, Air Medal, and Combat Infantry Badge. He is active in the Nampa Elks and is currently the Idaho State Elks National Veterans Service Chairman and past president of the Idaho State Elks Association. He is married and his wife, Judy, and have 4 grown children, 9 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Lyle?
Got 4 now.
4 now, all right.
Thank you. Representative Labrador, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow veterans, it's a privilege to welcome you again to the city of Caldwell on this special occasion to honor the veterans, our veterans and their families. I told Archie this morning, my good friend Archie Stradler down here, told Archie, who started asking me to come over to this ceremony about 5 years ago, I think, or 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm either going to have to get Archie to find somebody else, or I'm going to have to move to Caldwell, because I'm from Boise, but I really feel at home in Caldwell, and it's a real privilege to come back again today to speak. But to my right front or left front stand the flags of each of our military services. They represent not only a branch of service, but the lives and deeds of the men and women who fought and died defending the principles of America. As I name each flag this morning, the branch of service, I would ask you to stand or raise your hand, step forward so we can recognize you somehow. If you or one of your family members served in that particular branch of service. First, the United States Army. Born in Lexington and Concord in 1775, this flag has been carried into battle for 240 years. Valley Forge, Gettysburg, the Argonne Forest, the beaches of Normandy, Inchon and Pork Chop Hill, the Tet Offensive in Khe Sanh, and today in the deserts of Iraq and the mountains of Afghanistan. The United States Navy. The second of our services, formed by Continental Congress in 1775. The Navy protects our nation on, below, and above the seas around the world. Out of the ashes of Pearl Harbor, the United States Navy returned to avenge our nation at Midway in the Coral Sea, Wake Island, and Guadalcanal. The beaches of Normandy and Korea, Vietnam, and the Middle East were cleared for land troops by the power and might of naval gunfire and ship-launched aircraft of the United States Navy. The United States Marine Corps. No prouder heritage or tradition exists than that of the United States Marine Corps. 240 years ago yesterday, the Corps was born in Tun Tavern in Philadelphia. Marines have been the first to battle. As stated in the Marine hymn, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, Marines have led the way. In the fields of France in World War I, raising the flag over Iwo Jima, Vietnam's Hue City and Khe Sanh, Baghdad City and the mountains of Afghanistan have been stained by the blood, sweat, and tears of the United States Marine Corps. Semper Fi, my brothers. The United States Coast Guard. Protectors of our shores and environment, guardian angels of the seas, and enforcer of maritime law in the United States Coast Guard stands ready to defend and protect during war and peace. Their sailors and airmen risk their lives to rescue lost and distressed mariners and citizens off our shores and in our inland waterways. The United States Air Force. Above all, the motto of the U.S. Air Force defines the mission and history of the youngest but most modern military service. From flying unarmed reconnaissance flights over the battlefields of World War I, saturation bombing over Central Europe, delivering the two final blows of World War II on Japan, Korea's Big Alley, close air support and strategic bombing in Vietnam, invasion preparations for Desert Storm and Enduring Freedom, and placing a man on the moon. The U.S. Air Force is truly above all. Also standing with our service flags, the POW MIA flag. The final flag is to honor those soldiers, sailors, and airmen still officially listed as missing in action or prisoners of war from all wars or conflicts. Today, over 83,000 Americans remain listed as missing in action from all wars. Most are assumed dead, but are still unaccounted for. Although there is no official record of any remaining POWs, these names also remain a void in the lives of their friends and loved ones still seeking closure for their absence. And as I've said before, I've always felt that there should be one additional flag here with the rest. That flag should be called the home front flag, to recognize the very special and important group of people without whom service to our military would have surely failed. The spouses, children, and parents of our servicemen. These are the real heroes. They waited at home by the mailbox, and now the computer, for word of their soldiers, sailors, and airmen. They changed the diapers, the tires, they fixed the faucets and the windows, took our children to doctors and hospitals, birthday parties, and soccer practice, paid our bills, and kept the car running. They were why we were there. Now let's see where we all came from and where we served our nation. Please raise your hand again or stand. When I mention a particular area or time of service, First World War II, these greatest generation soldiers and veterans, and I see a few hands going up. Unfortunately, these veterans are now leaving us at the rate of 600 per day nationally. This is down from a year ago when the rate was 1,000. However, that rate is going down because the pool of those soldiers is growing smaller every day. The Korean War, the forgotten war. Your fellow veterans will never forget this war. The Cold War, when our military stood on the edge of nuclear holocaust, including the Cuban crisis in 1962, just 90 miles off the coast of Florida. Vietnam, now 50 years ago. Welcome home, brothers. Desert Storm. There they are. Enduring freedom and the current war against terrorism in Iraq and Afghanistan. Since that terrible morning on September 11th, 2001, when our lives and our nation changed forever, 69 Idaho service members, including Army Specialist Kerry French, Army PFC Jacob Alcott, Navy Commander Philip Murray, and Staff Sergeant Octavio Herrera, all from Caldwell, paid the supreme price for the cause of freedom in the war against terrorism. Idaho can well stand proud of the service members who were born here or have a close connection with our state. 38 Idahoans have been awarded the Medal of Honor for gallantry in combat from the Civil War to the current time. Today, 5 of those recipients are at this time being honored at the Idaho State Veterans Home in Boise. Vernon Baker, U.S. Army, World War II from St. Mary's, deceased. Bernard Fisher, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, from Kuna, Idaho, deceased. Ed Freeman, U.S. Army, Vietnam, from Boise, deceased. Thomas Norris, United States Navy, by the way, he was a SEAL. Vietnam, from the Coeur d'Alene area, still living in Coeur d'Alene. Art Jackson, United States Marine Corps, World War II, living in the Boise area, still with us today. The list of heroes is long, but it has one common thread. None of these servicemen or women intended to be heroes, nor do they claim to be heroes. They are like the countless thousands of others across this state and the nation who were called to serve the nation, and they simply answered that call. There is an anonymous quote, and now a stirring country music song that says it best. All gave some gave all. I am proud of my military service, and I'm also proud to be a member of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks. In 1946, the Elks made a solemn promise that, so long as there are veterans, the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks will never forget them. We are proud of this promise, and we strive to honor it in our communities across the state. We hope that every American citizen across this great land will join us in this pledge to honor our American heroes. Thank you. God bless our veterans, and God bless America.
Gives me great honor to introduce our next speaker, Congressman Raul Lavador. He was born December 8, 1967 in Carolina, Puerto Rico. He graduated from Las Vegas High School, later Brigham Young University, and earned a law degree from the University of Washington. After law school, he and his family moved to his wife's native Idaho, where he established a law practice. In 2006, he was elected to the Idaho House of Representatives and became known as a steadfast advocate for free markets, limited government, and civil liberties. He was elected to the U.S. House in 2010. He is one of Congress's most important leaders on immigration reform and securing our borders. In 2015, he was a founding member of the House Freedom Caucus, fighting for open, accountable, and limited government. He and his wife, Rebecca, have been married more than 20 years, have 5 children, and their family is active in their church and community in Eagle, Idaho. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Raul Labrador.
Good morning. It's a hard act to follow. First you start with the song, and you need to get the voice to give you a contract. I mean, that was really, really amazing. That was beautiful. Then you follow that with a beautiful prayer and then the wonderful words that we just heard about our veterans. Thank you for inviting me to speak here at today's Veterans Day ceremony. I'm grateful to be here because on this special day, we honor the guardians of the American dream. It is also a day of hope, as renovations are underway on this century-old building. I actually started my law practice just about a block away from here, about 20 years ago. And I remember driving by this building thinking, what a beautiful building this is. I wonder what's going to come of it. And what a wonderful thing to do with this building. It's a beautiful building that reflects the beauty of the service that each and every one of you have given to our country. What was once a library is being repurposed for another 100 years as a resource for the heroes who serve in the armed forces. Their courage and compassion are an inspiration. Their service has earned the thanks of a grateful nation. On so many battlefields, whether in Europe or Asia, the Middle East, or other parts of the world, you heeded the call to serve, you fought on the front lines, and you showed the true measure of the American character. We who have benefited from your service recognize that America is the land of the free, because we truly are the home of the brave. It's because of your bravery that we are safe and free. And the freedom we enjoy in America inspires all throughout the world. That is something that we must never take for granted. But most importantly, and I think this was expressed very well just before I spoke, for every service member, there is a family who supported their loved one and bore the burden of their absence. Whatever accolades we bestow upon our service members, we must also bestow those accolades upon their families. To those of you who are kin to a veteran or a service member, we thank you. And can we please give them a hand? Thanks are also in order to Mayor Nancolas. Last year, the city of Caldwell agreed to lease this building for 100 years to 3 veterans groups: the Disabled American Veterans, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the American Legion. Those groups make up the Caldwell Veterans Council, which is overseeing renovations to the Caldwell Veterans Memorial Hall. Most of the labor, as you guys know, will come from volunteers who are expected to take 2 years to complete the job. Most of that sweat equity will come from veterans themselves, an expression of their continued commitment to their country and their commitment to one another. Volunteer labor will reduce the estimated cost by half. But we need to remember that some of the renovation can't be done by volunteers. For example, they need help with $365, not $365,000 for an elevator. I'm confident that this generous community will support this important project and raise the estimated $600,000 necessary to complete this project. When the Veterans Memorial Hall opens, 15,000 veterans in Canyon County will have easier access to services, including education, career development, counseling, and family programs. I know Americans want to fulfill our nation's commitment to our veterans, and that's why I'm so proud of the work that our office does. We place heavy emphasis on constituent service. If any of you veterans are having any problems with your service, with any of the issues that you're dealing with the Veterans Administration or any other issues, please call our office. Serving veterans and their families comprises the largest portion of the casework undertaken by my capable staff. Our Master of Ceremonies today, Colonel Terry Harrell, spent 32 years in the Army and served in Iraq. He grew up in Caldwell and chairs the Veterans Council. Colonel, I want to thank you and commend you for your service. Thank you all for joining me for this very special celebration. Let us never forget our veterans and the sacrifices they made. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Senator Mike Crapo was born May 20th, 1951 in Idaho Falls, Idaho. He graduated from Brigham Young University with a BA in political science. He then graduated from Harvard Law School with a cum laude Juris Doctorate in 1977. He is married to his wife Susan, and they have 5 children and 8 grandchildren. Senator Crapo served in the Idaho State Senate from '84 to 1992, serving as Senate President pro tem from 1988 to 1992. He was elected to Congress in '92 and represented Idaho's 2nd Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives for 3 terms until his election to the United States Senate in 1998. He is currently serving his 3rd term as our senior senator in the United States Senate. Representing him today is his regional director, Brian Ricker. Brian.
Thank you for having me. I know the senator would have liked to be here. He is in the Treasure Valley, but he's in Boise doing the Veterans Home ceremony and doing the Spirit of Freedom. So he apologizes for not being here. I kind of want to piggyback a little bit off of what Congressman Labrador just talked about on constituent service. We have a great relationship with them. Tori is standing right by him. She's amazing. We do a lot of casework together. And as you may know, Senator Crapo has done a veterans survey for the last 2 years to hear from Idahoans and veterans on the ground here that are working with the VA, what they're feeling, how they're feeling, the aspects that are good, the aspects that they're having trouble with. And so we just completed that, and since January 2015, Senator Crapo has helped Idaho veterans and their families receive $803,000 in missing VA benefits. And that's the same thing. I mean, that's the same work we're doing. And so please contact either one of our offices, because we're here to help you. We want to be an asset and make sure that we're fighting for you to get the benefits that you've earned. And now I'll read a letter that Senator Crapo sent. It says, "Dear veterans and families, I regret I am not able to be with you in person today as you celebrate the service of Idaho veterans and their families in the wonderful new Caldwell Veterans Memorial Hall. Thank you for honoring our service members. Veterans and their families infuse our communities with a deep understanding of the truest sense of service. Many of these veterans continue to serve their fellow veterans and others long after their military careers end. They have a profound insight and personal price of American freedoms, and we owe our veterans immense gratitude for all they do for us. They keep the vision and future of our great country alive and well. You have much to be proud of as you gather at the new facility dedicated to assisting our veterans. I commend you for all coming together to create a great resource, and through your partnerships and continued hard work, you have innovated this historic community asset into a welcome and convenient resource for veterans seeking services. The cooperation cultivated through the hall's creation and the shared space for veterans service providers will be a great benefit to veterans and their families. Thank you, veterans, for your service, and thank you all for honoring our nation's veterans and the military families who serve with them. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Mike Crapo, United States Senator.
Next introduction is especially special to me. It's a lifelong friend, Mayor Garrett Nancolis. He has served this community for over 26 years. Elected to Caldwell City Council in 1989. He has served for 8 years before being elected to the mayor in 1997. He has now served as mayor for a little over 18 years. He and his wife Pamela have been married 37 years, have 2 children and 2 wonderful granddaughters. Caldwell is a very wonderful place because of his vision of community pride, teamwork, and youth and family ideals. He is a champion for our community and a staunch supporter of our veterans. The dream of turning this old building into a place that the veterans could use started with Mayor Nancolis, and at every turn he has reached out to assist us in efforts to turn this building into the Caldwell Veterans Memorial Hall. It is my honor to present Garrett Nancolis.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for your friendship, for your leadership on this beautiful building, and all the hard work you've done. You and John are heroes in my eyes and the community's eyes for your efforts on restoring this beautiful facility. Congressman Labrador, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your kind remarks about this building, about the city. Thank you for being such a staunch supporter of veterans back in Washington, D.C. That is so needed. We appreciate that very, very much. Brian, please, where did Brian go? Please express our love and appreciation for Senator Crapo and his support of veterans, the city and the state of Idaho. Let him know that we do appreciate and respect him very much, and thank you for being here on his behalf today. Thank you. You know, Lyle, I don't know how you do it, but you always find a way to say what you feel so eloquently, remind us how blessed we are by the veterans service and their sacrifices. You do it with such honor. Thank you very much. I know you've been here several times, but every time you always get me right here in the heart. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate Congressman Labrador and Senator commenting about this beautiful building behind us. There were 2 reasons that the city was so interested in the efforts that are being put into this building. One was to save the institutional value of this beautiful structure, for the memories that it has for this community, to all of us that attended here as either children or adults in its early years as a library, and the wonderful memories that has for this community. But secondly, as a humble gesture of respect, love, and appreciation for the veterans in the city of Caldwell and in the surrounding community. I cannot think of a more worthwhile project or a more worthwhile expenditure of time, effort, and energy than helping to bring this building to life, so that, as was mentioned by Congressman Labrador, we can help those that are in need of services get those services, those who have sacrificed all, who have given so much of their lives to the freedoms that we enjoy, that they can get the benefits and the services that they deserve. This place behind us is just a building, but what will go on inside that building has so much meaning, and that's why this is such a worthwhile project for the city of Caldwell. To all those who have volunteered, what a great gesture of love for this community, the hours that have been put into this building, the blood, sweat, and tears. If you take a look at the amount of hours and what we would have to have paid for those hours in restoring this building, it is astounding. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of labor out of love. And that's what it is, a labor of love, by those very people who have already given so much of their lives in defending our freedoms. So much of this has been done by veterans. What a testament to their commitment and dedication to this community. The other day, my wife and I were watching a program on the History Channel. And it's one of those programs that makes you proud and want to cry all at the same time. And it was a history of the Second World War. And again, I saw several hands go up. I know Mayor Winder, I saw your hand up, a World War II veteran. I cannot think of a better word to describe. I think it was Lyle that used this term, guardian angels. And that program brought out such emotion to me. And it was about these brave soldiers as they went through Germany and discovered those who had been imprisoned in Krakow. And the few thousand out of the many hundreds of thousands that had been interned there throughout the Second World War. And the compassion and love that these men had for those prisoners when they first discovered them, and the care, the love, the compassion that they gave to those prisoners. I'm not kidding you, Pam and I both had tears running down our cheeks. It was the most amazing expression of true love that I have ever seen in my life. These veterans were the guardian angels for those people who had endured so much in that prison camp. So Dick, to all those of you who were involved in that war, thank you for being guardian angels, not only then, but now. We appreciate and love you very, very much. And last, I would like to close with, and I hope Dan Pugmire doesn't get mad at me after this. I don't know where Dan is.
It's all right.
But the other day, I had the privilege of attending a ceremony at the Veterans Garden here in Caldwell. And Dan made a comment that that garden had saved his life. And it was such a humble comment, an expression of appreciation for this garden that had been put together by so many volunteers. But what was ironical to me about that was, Dan, wherever you are, you've saved our lives.
Right over there.
Oh, Dan, you and people like you have saved our lives, and you continue to do that every day by those things that you have done, by the selfless service that you have given. So Dan, I want to say thank you for saving our lives. And not only Dan, please don't misunderstand me, but all of you who have been in the military, your families, those who have served, those who have given so much to protect our freedoms, because as we know, freedom is not free. Thank you to all of our veterans. We love you, we honor you, we respect you, we appreciate you. Thank you for being our guardian angels. May God bless you and each and every one of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Jill Transtrom and the Wilson Elementary School Choir now filing in, and they will sing We Love You, Military, which is a very special song, one that I'd never heard before last year when they sang it for us, and then they'll follow that with Proud to Be an American. While I'm waiting for them to file in, I'd like to thank our Gold Star families for attending.
song, we would like to sing God Bless America for the first time, and on the second time, will you please join us? God bless America.